Good morning, folks. Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the upcoming European qualifiers that will take place on Friday, the 19th of June, and will run till Tuesday, the 22nd of June. This will mean, in terms of so rare, these set of fixtures will cover 2 game weeks. However, please be aware if you've got players from a country who are playing on Friday, the 19th, they will play their second fixture, if they have one, on the Monday. So they'll have two fixtures within the within the same game week. So I'm assuming their best score will apply. However, if you've got a country playing Saturday and a Tuesday, providing they've obviously got fixtures on both, you will have utility for those 2 game weeks. Now, I've looked at the fixtures and there's a couple of standout fixtures providing you own the players for these countries. The obvious ones are England away to Malta and France away to Gibraltar. However, I am looking for value for money. I'm not willing to spend 20 odd quid on a French or an English player or even higher for 1 or 2 games. Therefore, I'm looking for lesser countries who have decent players who play for decent European sides during the regular season, who, in my opinion, represent far better value than the countries I've already spoken about. Now, before the fixture, or I announced the fixture I believe represents top value, I just want to explain how I come about this. Over the weekend, I was looking at my gallery, specifically my limited, and I was looking to see how many players that I have got that could potentially be involved in the upcoming fixtures. I made a spreadsheet because I like my spreadsheets, a bit of a nerd when it comes to things like that. And I'm quite surprised I haven't got more, but I think I got about 11, 12 players that could potentially be involved in this upcoming game weeks for the Euro qualifiers. However, I looked at some of their fixtures and I wasn't keen. For example, Victor Gyökeres, the striker at Coventry who represents Sweden, they are away to Austria in this game week, or the game week that they're going to be involved in, and that's a tough fixture, in my opinion. So I'm looking for players who've got easier fixtures. So anyway, just going on this spreadsheet, as you can see, I put the positions, the countries, how many minutes they played in the last game for their country, and if they weren't in the squad, why weren't they? If there was any reasons for them not being involved, basically. So then I set aside putting down the fixtures of all the players that I owned, and for me, there's one standout fixture there, possibly two, but the easiest fixture for me is Bosnia at home to Luxembourg, which takes place on the 20th of June. I already owned Smail, I don't know how you pronounce his surname, Prevlajic or something, who started in the last qualifier for Bosnia. I'll show you on FootMob. They lost away to Slovakia. He was replaced by Edin Dzeko. So, in my opinion, I'm not sure whether Jacko will be fit. I know he played in the Champions League. Whether this will be the side that plays against Luxembourg. I'm just assuming, taking a few things into consideration, that this could potentially be the starting 11. I already own this left back who plays for Sturm Graz, Jusuf, again, excuse my pronunciation, Gazabevic. He played the full 90 in the last qualifier. So what I decided to do, because I wanted to focus on this fixture in particular, is go out and buy two more players. Players I decided to buy were, I'll show you on So Rare because it's easier and because you can see the prices that I've paid. Like I said, I don't want to be spending fortunes on players, and I don't want to be just buying players for this one fixture because pointless doing that in my opinion. So I've looked for players who I believe will represent good value for their club sides, especially next season and going forward. The fact that they represent their countries is an added bonus because obviously it's extra utility when these qualifying games come round. If the countries then do qualify for the championships, the major tournaments, then you've got added utility during the summer months with them. And finally, if they do play for a team that have qualified for Europe, there's again added utility because they're going to be playing far more games. And these are the things I believe players need to take into consideration before purchasing players. You want as much utility as possible, as it represents better value for money, in my opinion. Now, the first player I went out and bought was, again, these pronunciations of these Bosnians are a fucking nightmare, but I'll give it my best. Amir Hasdimetsevich, something along those lines. But I bought him. He plays for Besiktas. They've qualified for Europe next year. I've seen him play a few times. Decent, very decent on the ball. Good technical abilities. So, like I said, plays for his country, the team he plays for are in Europe. It's value for money, in my opinion, and I paid £4.80 for him. You can see that was 10 hours ago. So, delighted with him. The next fella is this geezer, Ermedin Demirovic. As you can see, I only paid £3.23 for him. He's no world beater or anything like that. However, I think he can do a good job, specifically in this game week. I say this game week, the upcoming game week when they're playing Luxembourg. Now, this geezer, he plays for Augsburg in Germany. Not the greatest side, they struggle most seasons. As you can see his stats, 8 goals, 4 assists in 30 matches. So, like I said, nothing prolific or anything like that, but represents his country, which is extra utility. In my opinion, he'll start most games. Um, So you can see he started the last two in the European qualifiers, and the hope is he continues to play and start for them. For £3.5 it's worth the risk, in my opinion. Now, the beauty with this, or these 2 game weeks in particular, we all know goalkeepers are the most expensive overall to go out and buy. Because of the MLS and a few South American games, if you own an MLS goalkeeper, for example, the first game week, the Friday that runs till the Tuesday over the weekend, there's games, and also that midweek fixture from the 22nd to the 25th, the game week, I believe it is on So Rare MLS, there's midweek fixtures. So, if you're wanting to put a side together for a country who you believe got an easy fixture, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a goalkeeper for that country because, like I said, you can use an MLS or a Argentinian, Brazilian keeper, whatever, providing they've got a game. So that's an added bonus for me. The way the fixtures have fallen, I will definitely be using one of my MLS goalkeepers because it saves me having to go out and buy a goalkeeper. So for that second game week, that is my team. We're all Bosnia basically, and I just hope these 4 players start and they batter Luxembourg because they should. Like I said, it's worth a risk for me. I own 2 of the players. I've spent about £8 getting the other two, and who knows if they do what I think they should do against Luxembourg, then they should score well, in my opinion, and that's the hope. And I can finish quite high up on the leaderboard. The first game week is a lot more trickier for me because I don't think for the players that I own or I'm willing to purchase, I don't think there's a standout fixture like Bosnia, Luxembourg. You've got Andorra, Switzerland. So I went out, just to let you know, I went out and bought Nico Avaldi, plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach in Germany, I believe. Now, I've put him in my team because of who they obviously they're playing. I don't expect them to defend to concede against Andorra. Um, but I've got to work out who I need to put in. Do I risk putting players that I already own, like a Georgian player? Because Cyprus a shite basically. So Georgian are no great shakes either, but I would expect Georgia to beat Cyprus. I've got a few Georgians. Whether they play or not is another matter. So I got to decide whether I want to put one of these boys in or do I just stick an MLS team in. I'm not sure yet, but I will look at that. I just want to add there's a few that I've bought that are obviously not in these teams at this moment in time. Valdi is, but I bought Milenkovic for Serbia, and he plays for Fiorentina in Italy. Again, purely because they're a decent side. They were in Europe this season, so he provides utility not just for this one game. And although he might not come in handy this game week, I'm looking much further ahead into the qualifiers in September because I think Serbia are the standout team in that group. I think that group is poor, and I think Serbia will win that group comfortably. Tasty fixture there against Montenegro for obvious reasons, but I would fully expect them to win that group. So that is another thing to consider. You can go through all the tables and go through, plan ahead who you believe will dominate that league. I'm not obviously talking about the top leagues like France, England, Spain, because you're going to be paying a premium for those sort of players. I'm talking like Croatia, because in my opinion, they'll piss that group. Um, Possibly that Group F is tricky because you've got Austria and Sweden and Belgium. But like I said, Serbia for me stand out there. Switzerland in that group, so you may want to be looking at Switzerland. Um, and that's how I believe you pick up good value. And I just want to just point out something. Where I bought Nicola Evaldi, I think people are thinking along the same ways as me because I picked him up for £4.96 11 hours ago. The price is going up. Now, the last one was £5.59, and I believe the cheapest one listed now is £8.28. So I think people are realising now they've got an easy fixture against Andorra. So whether you want to even use these players in teams or you just want to trade in and out, you can make a few quid doing this. I've got no doubt about it. Even if I decided, now I'm not going to bother with that first game week and I'm not going to have any Switzerland players, I could potentially, if I wasn't greedy, I could list him for £7 now and make £3 in, I don't know, 12 hours. Planning ahead, in my opinion, is one of the most vital things to do on So Rare. And when I say planning ahead, I'm talking in terms of fixtures, because ultimately, if people are on So Rare, they want to play most game weeks. If they haven't got the players, they will go out and buy the players so they can put a team out. Obviously, budget. They need the budget to do that. I'm not suggesting people just go out and fucking buy players left, right, and centre and have no money in your bank account or anything like that. But generally, you know what I'm like, speaking to people, because we're on So Rare, we want to enter as many teams in as many game weeks as we possibly can, and we will go out and buy the players like I did last night, for example. I identified these fixtures coming up and I wanted to enter them, and I identified Bosnia's fixture as the easiest, in my opinion, for a lesser country. And I just went out and bought them in the hope that they all play and all score well, and who knows what the reward could be for that. But anyway, guys, I've gone on far too long on this video. I appreciate you watching. It's just some food for thought and how I approach So Rare, certain things that I do, etc. So whatever you decide to do, best of luck, guys, and I'll see you very soon.